Welcome, this is Automotive Anonymous, and I'm so glad you're here. That's the 2024 Subaru Outback Touring XT. It's the Apex Outback. In fact, it's one of the best new vehicles you can buy for 2024. It has a turbo, a bunch of fancy features, and best of all, it's cheaper than the average new car. But it's not perfect, and that's coming from an Outback Wilderness owner who's driven dozens of these. So today I gotta show you a walk around, all the specs, initial driving impressions, 0 to 60 on a GPS, and then my final thoughts to help you decide, what do you do with the all-new Touring XT? Do you buy it? Do you leave it at the lot? Maybe look at the other crossover competition? Well, big thanks to Twin Falls Subaru for letting me borrow theirs for the day. I'll link it below if you're interested. Otherwise, let's dive right in with this review. If you're new to the Subaru Outback, you need to know that it's a wagon based off of the Subaru Legacy sedan. So the front half should look awfully familiar, but it's lifted. It's extended. And these are pretty popular. They sell 140 to 180,000 every single year in North America. And then there's quite a few sold in Canada as well. But the Outback nameplate first came out in a year I like to call 1995. This one now is still part of the 6th generation that came out in 2020. So this is the 5th year of that generation, making it more refined, making it better than ever. It had the majority of its changes last year with the refreshed front end and a few updates to the software and infotainment. But it's non-functional cladding. I think we all know for 2024 that Subaru loves cladding. But overall, they look good, they're extremely capable, and they're homegrown. They're made in Lafayette, Indiana. You're probably wondering, how expensive are these things? Well, for 2024, there's 9 trim levels of the Subaru Outback. A base model starts about $29,000 before delivery, before extra goodies that you want. This is the Touring XT, so it's the highest trim level. It's number 9 out of 9. It starts about $43,000. Add-on destination and some extra goodies, it's about $46,000, which is still a couple $1,000s less than the average new car. But for that price, you get quite a bit. You again get the turbo engine because it's an XT model. You get the Napa brown leather, ventilated front seats, the driver focus mitigation system, the power folding mirrors, which also angle down when you're going in reverse, front facing 180-degree camera just like the Wilderness trim level, and a few other subtle features. Subaru really cares about safety. They don't want their customers crashing, dying, and then not being able to buy their vehicles. So they invest a lot in safety. These come with standard LED headlights, which are phenomenal on Subarus, and then a bunch of other active and passive safety features, making it a top safety pick plus. Some of those features are the basic heads-up display, the blind spot monitoring, pedestrian braking, adaptive cruise control, lane keep assist with the Gen 4 eyesight cameras. So as you can see here, it does a really good job of keeping you centered in your lane, but it's not a perfect system. You always need to be holding onto the wheel because sometimes it can bump you abruptly out or kick off the system. It also has rear cross traffic alert and braking and probably something else I'm missing, which I'll include a photo of here. But overall, it's also a 5-star crash test rated vehicle, so the unibody design has a lot of crumple zones, has a lot of engineering that's gone into it to keep you and your family safe and hopefully avoid all accidents. Most people who consider the Outback do so because it's practical, it's capable, and it can do everything well, making life in general a lot easier. Or they just blatantly want to go Outback in their Subaru Outback. But if you're wondering, this weighs about 3,900 pounds. It has a payload capacity of 900 pounds, so you can hold 900 pounds total of people and stuff in your Outback. With the turbo model such as this, you can tow up to 3,500 pounds, but if you have a non-turbo model, you can only tow a measly 2,700 pounds. These have 8.7 inches of ground clearance, an aggressive final drive ratio of 3.9, and overall, they're about 16 feet long. The wheelbase is about 9 feet, so you can see it's pretty planted, pretty stable on the road with its dimensions. Roughly 6 feet wide, 5.5 feet tall, and as you can see here, it can do a really neat, nicely tucked full circle in 36 feet. It has a CVT transmission that's connected to Subaru's superior mechanical symmetrical all-wheel drive that puts the front-wheel drive biased competitors to shame. The last things to mention out here is the gas tank is located on the passenger side. When the vehicle's locked, the mirrors are folded in and the gas door is locked, so no one's gonna be siphoning your gas. But when you unlock the vehicle, the mirrors fold out, the gas door pops open if you pushed it already, and it's an 18.5 gallon tank. These are rated for 22 city, 29 highway, so you have a max highway range of about 530 miles if you're very conservative. It has an Adva GT Yokohama all-season tire, an 18-inch wheel. Overall though, the dimensions are 225 by 60 by 18, and then it has a temporary spare in the back, not a full-size spare replacement like the Wilderness models. And then proximity key features, but you do have lock, unlock, power liftgate, panic button. Otherwise, leave it in your pocket because you have proximity key features to lock and unlock the vehicle. The door panels look really nice, especially with all the brown accents you're gonna see that this interior has. But what's interesting to me is there's at least 5 different contrasting colors in here. Overall though, really soft touch, really comfortable. You can fit at least 8 fingers in that handle. You have 1 line of Hobby Lobby stitching, Harman Kardon speakers, bottle holder, some snacks, memory seats. And then on the door sill, medium-sized Subaru, rubberized mats and pedals, hood release, fuse box, options, wood grain trim, more Napa brown, lighting stock, and 10-way power adjusted heated ventilated seats with some thigh bolstering. And then at the very top, you have your power moonroof. Sitting inside here is really nice. It's easy to find a comfortable position, especially with all the soft touch trim pieces. The wheel is leather wrapped and heated. The horn sounds decent. You have paddle shifters on the back to simulate the 8 speeds if you want to take a little bit more control over it. And when you fire it right up, the needles dance, the heads-up display flashes, and the steering responsive headlights do their own little theatrical performance. On the left of the wheel, you have the toggle to go through the info, as well as voice and volume. The right of the wheel has your adaptive cruise control settings. That's your mitigation system, so when you're looking away from the wheel, away from the road, for more than half a second, it might start to beep or flash at you to get your attention. Otherwise, you have different widgets that you can position up there. You have the 11.6-inch screen. It's better than previous model years. I still don't like that that's always turned on, the auto start stop. I do wish the ventilated seats were a little bit colder and the heated seats were a little bit hotter, but overall, they're nice features to have, especially at this price point. It has an electronic parking brake, the plugins, wireless charging, piano black around the shifter, the front-facing camera. It's a little bit grainy, but I'd rather have it than not. An X mode you can get into there through here. Reverse camera, it's also grainy, but the trajectory lines do move, so that's a nice feature. And then you have some cup holders. Stage 2 center console, and it has a 12 volt and a CD player in there, which is pretty unique. Up top, you have the digital rear view mirror, the regular rear view mirror, your glasses holder, some LED lighting, and then your controls to tilt and slide the power moonroof. The sun visor can come off and slide. It also has LED lighting in the mirror so you can check yourself out when you're behind the wheel of your Outback Touring. Otherwise though, let's hop in the back and see what else it has to offer. The back door panel follows the same theme and design language. It's all soft touch, it's all very comfortable, and you can fit about 7 or 8 fingers in that handle as well. There's a little bit of a grip right there in case you have to step up to the roof rails, which I do admire that Subaru included that feature. This is the 60 split. It's easy to lift, easy to lower, and then you can recline the seats to help out extra tall adults in the back. But sitting behind myself, I'm 5'11". I have that much room in front of my knees, which is plenty in this type of vehicle. A couple map pockets, some pamphlets. I can enjoy ventilation, heated seats, and some plugins with my cup holders in the armrest. So overall, it's a really nice place to be. My head doesn't rub against the ceiling. Man, I could have a good time going across the country or going out back in the back of this Outback. The rear of the Outback I think looks pretty good, although I'm not the biggest fan of Subaru chrome on their higher trim levels such as this. But a really cool feature it has back here is the secret pin code. I have a video on how to set that. It basically allows you access to your Outback without having the keys on you, which is a really cool feature to have. You can also disconnect the remote and hide that in the car, so if you're camping, hiking, kayaking, anything like that, you can lock yourself out of the Outback until you need to get back in with the pin code. Otherwise, there's 4 ways to access the hatch. You can push the button underneath the emblem. You can push the button that's on the dashboard. You can climb through the back seats, or do the laziest of all like I am and just use the remote for the power liftgate feature. The cargo capacity is one of the best things about this vehicle. You have 33 cubic feet with the seats up, 75 when they're down, so a full-size adult can car camp back here, and there's custom mattresses that you can get as well. You have bag clips and little tie-downs throughout. You have a Harman Kardon sub right there, and you can easily drop the seats with the handles, which is a pretty cool feature. And look, they lay nearly flat. Otherwise, underneath the all-weather mat, you have the spare tire, and you have the jack and the tools, the eye bolt hole, all of that type of stuff. And then a little bit of a mesh storage pocket on the passenger side because it doesn't have its own subwoofer back there. And then when it's time to lower it, you can either lock and lower it or just lower it. And the power liftgate does its thing. It works pretty well. The door panel looks the same on the passenger side. You still have the double mat pockets, the pamphlets, the brown accents and leather looks fantastic, and then this is the 60 split. And if you get a ride shotgun, you get a lot of extra goodies up here. The same larger door panel, just missing a few of the buttons that you'd get if you were the driver. You still have Subaru on the door sill. Power seats without the bolster extension. My backpack's comfortable, having a good time in this top safety pick. And then you have a little bit of storage on the transmission tunnel. Storage above the glove box, that's wood grain lined, and then locking storage in here with the 12 volt hidden in the back. Otherwise though, I'm sure you guys are ready for me to go around front, pop the hood, and show you what the 2.4 liter turbo looks like. Under the hood is a really well laid out 2.4 liter turbo boxer. You have an internal hood scoop to cool down the intercooler, and you have more induction through the grill, through the air filter, the box, the piping, the plumbing, through the intercooler, the throttle body, and then the upper intake manifold runners. This is really well laid out, and by that I mean the serpentine belt, all the pulleys, all the accessories, they're right there. They're easy to get to, easy to work on if you ever had to. The oil dipstick. The top mount oil filter, so if you're off-roading, you don't knock that thing off and destroy your engine. You have all of your reservoirs up top, too easy to identify, and the battery right there on the passenger side. This engine makes 260 horsepower, 277 foot-pound-feet of the twisty torque, as low as 2,000 RPM. So that's way more torque at 2,000 RPM than the naturally aspirated Subaru Outbacks, which makes this one feel so much faster on the road. Let's drop the hood and I'll show you what I mean. Time to time travel and teleport to one of my favorite roads so I can show you how it drives and then how fast it is, and then we'll meet back here for my final thoughts. Initial driving impressions of the loaded Outback Touring XT. With that turbo, they're awfully quick. And the ride just seems to get more refined every single year. Visibility is fantastic, like basically every other Subaru product that exists. You can fit full-size adults in the back seat. And with those reclining back seats, those full-size adults are going to be having a good time. The layout is really nice. Very human-centric, ergonomically pleasing. I don't love the touchscreen. If you've seen my other Subaru videos, you know that. But overall, there's a lot of storage, a lot of places to find comfort in this. Even the backpack that's blending into the brown Napa leather seats is having a good time. Being in a top safety pick plus puts your mind at ease. Having almost 9 inches of ground clearance really helps too. These weigh just under 4,000 pounds. They're stable on the road. If you have to change directions quickly or hop on the brakes, it's linear feel. It does a good job in throwing the wheel. You could probably hear a little bit of the rear tires scraping along. It's a long vehicle. It doesn't handle like a sports car. So don't throw the wheel in a hurry. Don't go around a corner too fast. Otherwise, just cruising down the street, it's insane how well this absorbs all the bumps and ruts in the road. Avoid potholes with those bigger 18-inch wheels and a little bit less sidewall than you get something like on the Outback Wilderness. But overall, it's really good. The Harman Kardon speakers sound fantastic. The mitigation driver focus system is kind of annoying. If you turn your eyes away from the road for more than half of a second, it might start beeping at you. But all the other luxuries in here you have, like ventilated seats, the rear mirror, that's the camera view. It's really cool. These things are pretty well loaded. But you know what? Let's drive to a private road and we'll do a 0 to 60 next. Brake rev, traction off, let's go. Pretty quick. True 0 to 60 came in at 6.77 seconds. That's at about a mile above sea level density altitude equivalent. So that's actually pretty fast given our elements that we're not on a prepped sticky track at sea level. My final thoughts of the 24 Touring XT is overall it's a steal of a deal. It's a few $1,000s cheaper than the average new car, and I don't love everything about it, such as the CVT rather than a manual or traditional automatic, the infotainment system and how everything is controlled through that, and just some of the chrome trim pieces. But overall, for about 46 grand, you're getting more luxury features than a lot of the luxury brands. You also have a better all-wheel drive system, more practicality and capability. It's really no surprise why 200,000 people buy these across North America and Canada basically every single year. They're phenomenal overall. And if you don't like this one, well, there's 8 other trim levels to choose. So I want to know in the comments below, have you owned one? Are you considering it? What are you comparing this to? And if you like my style of review, please consider liking it. That really helps my channel to grow. Subscribe if you want to watch more. I post a couple times a week. And until the next one, I hope you take care. See ya.